Right now, as you are listening to this, there is a single AI model operating on this planet that holds 10 trillion parameters.
Which is just, I mean, it's a completely unfathomable number.
Yeah, just to give you a sense of scale, that is more connections than there are stars in 100 Milky Way galaxies combined.
Right.
And at this exact same moment, on this very same planet, real missiles and drones are physically threatening the infrastructure that provides drinking water and electricity to millions of people in the Persian Gulf.
It's like looking at two completely different worlds that, on the surface anyway, seem like they should have absolutely nothing to do with each other.
Right. But they are colliding in real time. So for today's deep dive, we are unpacking a whole stack of intelligence updates, market analytics, defense data, and production notes from April 5th, 2026.
And our mission today is really to connect all these dots.
Exactly. We're going to trace a direct line from a major corporate restructuring over at Microsoft right through this absolutely unprecedented engineering race to build these massive 10 trillion parameter AI models.
And then take it all the way to how these exact same digital tools are actively defending real-world power and water grids today.
Yeah, because we aren't going to get bogged down in market panic or doom scrolling here. We are looking at how technology that was built in peacetime is stepping up to protect human lives in an actual crisis.
And, the clearest signal that this technology is graduating from, like a research curiosity into a foundational civilizational tool, comes from inside Microsoft AI.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, CEO Satya Nadella just made this massive operational shift. He moves Mustafa Suleyman, who is easily one of the most prominent voices in the whole AI space, completely away from the day-to-day operations of Microsoft Copilot.
Which is wild. Suleyman is now focusing 100% of his time on proprietary model development with their superintelligence team.
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this because the scale of this pivot is just massive. I mean, Copilot is the thing everyday people actually use, right? It's the product.
Right. It's what's right in front of the consumer.
Exactly. So pulling your top leader off the product to focus on the underlying models, it's like an automaker entirely stopping work on the leather seats, the dashboard UI, the steering wheel.
All the stuff the driver actually touches.
Yeah, stopping all of that to focus 100% of their engineering talent on building a next-generation nuclear fusion engine.
That is the perfect way to frame it.
They are realizing that the engine is literally the only thing that actually matters right now. Because if you don't own the engine, well, you don't own the future.
No, you don't. And what's fascinating here is that this model's first thinking, it isn't happening in a vacuum. It is a survival mechanism.
Because of the competition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Suleiman is looking across the landscape and seeing what the others are doing. Specifically, Anthropic just released Claude Mythos 5.
Oh, man.
Yeah, which brings us to that massive number you mentioned at the top of the show, 10 trillion parameters.
Right. And before we get too deep into the weeds here, for anyone listening who isn't building neural networks in their garage, what actually is a parameter?
Good question.
We throw that word around a lot, but what does 10 trillion of them actually mean for the machine?
So think of a parameter like a single synapse in a human brain. It's basically a mathematical weight that helps the AI recognize a pattern or a relationship between different pieces of information.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So a small model with maybe a few billion parameters might recognize the relationship between the words peanut butter and jelly.
Right. Simple word associations.
Exactly. But when you scale up to 10 trillion parameters, you aren't just memorizing more trivia. The model undergoes an actual phase change in reasoning.
A phase change. It fundamentally operates differently.
Yes. It develops this incredibly vast web of associations that allows for multi-step consequential planning.
I see. So it's moving from just answering a static question like summarize this PDF to actually anticipating the future.
Exactly.
How does that multi-step planning play out practically, though?
Well, think of it like playing chess. A smaller model looks at the board and tells you the best next move based on historical data of past games.
It just answers your immediate prompt.
Right. But a 10 trillion parameter model with multi-step planning capability is playing out the entire rest of the game in its head before it touches a single piece.
Wow.
It anticipates cascading events. It calculates, if I move my knight, the system reacts by moving a bishop, which causes my rook to be exposed. So I need to place a safeguard here before I even take that first step.
So it's playing 4D chess.
Basically. And if you apply that to, say, a cybersecurity workflow, the AI isn't just flagging a computer virus anymore.
What is it doing instead?
It is autonomously mapping an entire corporate network, simulating how an attacker might pivot through different servers over the next 3 hours, and then proactively rewriting firewall rules to trap that attacker in a secure sandbox.
Man. So Mustafa Suleyman's pivot at Microsoft makes total sense then. He sees Anthropic dropping a 10 trillion parameter planning engine and realizes that if Microsoft isn't building that foundational intelligence, they're just, I don't know, painting the walls of a house someone else owns.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing.
And this isn't just a two-horse race either. This competition is actively rewriting the baseline of what technology can do for you, the listener. And it is happening across 4 massive fronts.
Right. Anthropic has the planning engine, but look at what Google DeepMind is doing with just raw intelligence. They just dropped Gemini 3.1 Ultra.
Oh, yeah. And the performance metrics on Gemini 3.1 Ultra are staggering. It scored a 94.3% on the GPQA Diamond benchmark.
Which is just, I mean, it's wild.
Yeah, and for context for the listener, GPQA Diamond is a test of graduate-level science reasoning.
Right.
These are physics, biology, and chemistry questions that literal PhDs genuinely struggle to answer. And Gemini is getting over 94% of them right, with real-time vision and voice integration.
So it functions as basically a pocket-sized postdoctoral researcher. You can point your phone's camera at a complex chemical reaction or a broken circuit board, and it can converse with you about the physics of what you are seeing in real time.
That's incredible. But, raw intelligence is useless if the AI just confidently lies to you.
The hallucination problem.
Exactly. Which brings us to the third competitor, xAI, and how they are trying to solve that hallucination problem with Grok 4.1. They took a completely different architectural approach.
They did. They deployed a 4-parallel agent architecture.
Which sounds complicated.
It's pretty cool, actually. Normally, when you ask an AI a complex question, a single neural pathway generates the answer. And if it makes a mistake, it just confidently outputs that mistake.
Right, the classic AI hallucination.
Yeah. But Grok 4.12 deploys 4 independent AI agents simultaneously. When you give it a task, these 4 agents independently research and formulate an answer.
Oh, wow.
And then they essentially debate and fact-check each other's logic before presenting the final output to you.
Okay, wait, I have to pause there. Wouldn't having 4 different AI models argue with each other behind the scenes make the response time incredibly slow?
You would think so, yeah. But because they are executed in parallel on specialized hardware, the latency is actually negligible to the user.
Really?
Yeah. It operates like a built-in peer review committee that meets and concludes in milliseconds. The result is a 78% non-hallucination rate on open-ended web tasks.
So it's actively prioritizing accuracy and factual grounding over just, sounding convincing.
Exactly.
All right, so we have Anthropic mastering multi-step planning. We have Google mastering raw PhD-level science. We have xAI mastering factual debate. But what about actually doing the work?
That is where OpenAI comes in with GPT 5.4 thinking.
Yeah. They hit 75% on Oswald Verified, which measures operating system-level agentic execution.
Right, and agentic execution means the AI steps out of the chat box entirely.
It's not just a conversational tool anymore.
No, it can actually take control of your desktop environment. It moves your mouse, opens your files, navigates your web browser, and executes multi-step software tasks exactly the way a human would.
And OpenAI is pairing this capability with a massive consumer play, right? They are turning ChatGPT into a unified super app for their 900 million weekly users.
Which is a huge structural shift.
Yeah, they're wrapping chat, coding, search, and these agent capabilities into one single interface. It's driving an $852 billion valuation because it is a deliberate strategy to centralize your entire digital life.
You just don't need a search engine, a coding tool, and a calendar app anymore.
Right?
The super app becomes the single pane of glass you look through to interact with the entire digital world.
Which brings me to a major point of friction, I think, for the listener. I mean, I am looking at the sheer volume of these updates, and I have to ask, so what does this all mean for the listener?
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
It is. The prediction markets on Manifold are currently showing a 76% chance that we see GPT 5.5 this month. A SearchCan's analysis shows over 30 new models dropped in March alone.
That's basically one major AI release every 72 hours.
Right. Imagine trying to run a bakery, but the recipe for flour changes every 3 days. If you are an everyday developer or just a business owner trying to integrate these tools, doesn't this just create massive, paralyzing decision fatigue?
Oh, absolutely. The developer fatigue is incredibly real right now.
How do you even build anything when the foundation is constantly shifting?
Well, we are actually seeing engineers genuinely burning out trying to keep up. But But the way the industry is surviving this churn is by building what are called API abstraction layers.
Wait, abstraction layer, is that just a fancy way of saying a middleman program?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of a developer hard-coding their application to only talk to Google's Gemini or only talk to OpenAI, they write a middleman program. This middleman automatically routes the user's prompt to whichever AI model happens to be the fastest, cheapest, or smartest that particular morning.
Oh, so it just handles the routing behind the scenes.
Right. It
Yeah.
completely shields the developer from having to rewrite their app every single time a new model drops.
Okay, so the developers are stressed, but they have a workaround.
Exactly. And for the everyday user, this cutthroat competition is actually a rising tide. The capabilities are tripling down instantly into highly specific, everyday applications that just work.
The examples of this are just wild. Take Sleek Analytics, for instance.
Oh, yeah.
They just launched a tool for website owners that provides real-time visitor tracking, but it entirely eliminates the need for those annoying cookie consent banners we all have to click on.
Right, because Sleek uses these new intelligence models to recognize traffic patterns and infer source attribution securely without actually dropping tracking cookies on your browser at all.
It's amazing. Then there is Influcio, which is acting as a fully autonomous marketing agent.
Yeah, that one is crazy.
You don't ask it for advice on your ad campaign. You just give it your budget and your target demographic. The AI goes out, negotiates rates directly with human influencers via email, manages the campaign deliverables, and tracks your return on investment in real time.
It's like having a full marketing department in a software tool. And in the industrial space, you have tools like T-Rex Label.
Oh, right, for computer vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you are training a robotic system and you need thousands of images of warehouses meticulously labeled, well, humans used to spend hours drawing little digital boxes around every single forklift and pallet.
Just tedious work.
Incredibly tedious. Now, the AI auto-suggests the segmentation masks instantly. The human just acts as an editor, approving or correcting the AI's work, which speeds up the whole process by 10 times.
So the 10 trillion parameter war at the top is creating this massive surplus of intelligence that just flows down into these everyday tools.
Exactly.
But, let's take this concept, this idea of massive multi-step planning and agentic execution, and move it entirely out of the digital realm.
Okay, let's do it.
Because the world right now is dealing with some very serious geopolitical warfare. What happens when these massive models meet the physical world?
To understand that, we really need to look at the situation unfolding in the Persian Gulf.
Yeah. When we look at the raw data coming out of the Gulf this week, the physical realities are stark. Iranian drones struck Bahrain's state-owned Bapco Energy's storage facility.
Right.
This resulted in an oil tank fire, but more importantly, the strike severely damaged 2 power plants and a major desalination facility in Bahrain. Separately, the Israel Defense Forces struck Iran's Mashhad petrochemical complex, which disrupted approximately 70% of Iran's domestic gasoline supply. And Russia is actively evacuating 198 of its citizens working at the Bushehr nuclear power plant in Iran after the surrounding area was struck for the 4th time.
The ripple effects of this infrastructure damage are truly global. Over in Nepal, the government has actually shifted to taking 2 days off per week for government and educational institutions entirely just to conserve fuel.
Wow, 2 days off a week.
Yeah. And OPEC Plus has boosted output by 206,000 barrels per day to try and stabilize the energy grid.
Now, a lot of analysts right now are hyper-fixated on the commodity markets. Oil is spiking, people are panicking over the price per barrel.
Sure, that's what the markets do.
But we are going to completely skip the market fear angle today because it really misses the deeper story. Bahrain relies on desalination plants to provide drinking water for 1.5 million people.
Right.
When a drone takes out a desalination facility, we aren't talking about commodity prices. Here's where it gets really interesting. We are talking about families waking up and wondering if water will come out of their tap tomorrow.
That's the real physical stake. And this is exactly where the physical crisis intersects with the digital tools we were just unpacking.
How so?
The situation in the Gulf is becoming the ultimate real-world test for this new AI infrastructure. We are seeing Claude Mythos 5, that 10 trillion parameter planning engine from Anthropic actively being deployed to defend this exact kind of critical infrastructure.
Let's look at how that actually works on the ground then. In London, there is a cybersecurity researcher named Priya.
Right.
Her team is using the Claude Mythos 5 model to map vulnerabilities in energy grids. Because the model can do that multi-step consequential planning we talked about earlier, they just feed it the architecture of a power network.
And then the AI simulates exactly how a swarm of physical drones might probe that specific grid's defenses.
It plays the 4D chess.
Yes. It anticipates the cascading failures. It calculates, like, if this specific substation is destroyed, how does the electrical load shift across the rest of the city, and what becomes the next most vulnerable transformer?
So it's looking 3 steps ahead of the actual physical attack.
Exactly. It calculates defensive countermeasures and grid rerouting strategies that used to take human engineering teams weeks to model. The AI does it in hours.
And it isn't just happening in distant research labs either. There is an operations center right there in the Gulf region, run by a lead named Khalid. His team is using AI-powered resilience dashboards. These systems ingest real-time threat data from the region and predict attack patterns before they even happen.
Khalid's team isn't waiting for the alarms to go off.
No.
The AI identifies a pattern in the incoming data, realizes a specific node in the local water network is exposed, and alerts the human operators to physically reroute water flow or enhance security protocols proactively.
It is literally recommending hardening measures before the drones even cross the horizon.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, what is truly fascinating here is the democratization of this technology.
Yeah, tell me about that.
There is a graduate student in Lagos, Nigeria, named Adaiz. She is sitting in a university library using the exact same 10 trillion parameter Claude Mythos 5 model to research and design resilient water and power grids for West African nations.
So a 24-year-old student has access to the exact same strategic planning engine that multi-billion-dollar tech conglomerates and national defense agencies are using.
Yes, that is the true meaning of scale. Scale isn't just, a larger parameter count humming on a server rack in California.
Right.
Scale means democratized access to national security-level defensive capabilities. When the baseline of intelligence rises like this, a student in Lagos can architect infrastructure resilience frameworks that could protect millions of people in her region from the exact types of vulnerabilities being exploited in the Gulf today.
Which is just incredible.
This is AI that was built in peacetime, originally designed for research and workflow automation, now actively being deployed to protect lives and infrastructure in the middle of a crisis.
It really reframes the entire narrative around why these massive tech companies are pushing so hard.
It does.
So, to bring this all together for you, Mustafa Suleiman restructuring Microsoft AI around models-first thinking is not just corporate deck chair shuffling.
Not at all.
It is a fundamental recognition that this 10 trillion parameter race is yielding tools that are powerful enough to outplan physical warfare. Google's Gemini, xAI's Grok, OpenAI's ChatGPT, Anthropic's Claude Mythos, they are competing so fiercely that the resulting intelligence is trickling down to protect the physical systems that keep human civilization running.
And that is exactly why this matters to you.
Yeah.
The invisible infrastructure of your life, from the supply chains that deliver your groceries, to the tools developers use to build the apps on your phone, all the way down to the literal water you drink and the electricity powering the device you are listening to right now, is actively being safeguarded and upgraded by this rising tide of intelligence.
It makes you look at the physical world completely differently. Which leads to a final thought I want to leave you with, something to picture as you go about your day.
Right.
If a 10 trillion parameter model sitting in a data center today can successfully map out defensive strategies for a nation's energy grid, and human operators like Khalid are using those insights to manually protect their facilities, what happens when the physical infrastructure itself becomes fully autonomous?
Oh, wow.
Imagine a scenario where the power plant and the water grid are directly wired into that 10 trillion parameter brain. They are dynamically rewriting their own defenses in real time, shifting electrical loads, deploying physical countermeasures, and locking down vulnerabilities without ever needing to ask a human for permission.
That's a profound shift.
So next time you turn on your tap, think about the invisible digital brain that might be guarding that water. The digital brain is already larger than 100 Milky Ways. We are just waiting to see what happens when it fully connects to the ground we walk on. Keep digging into this stuff. It's changing faster than we can blink.